Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Alison and I am joined by Byron Jorjorian, who we just finished playing Keepers by Van Ryder Games, and all of these amazing photos are taken by Byron himself. And so I wanted to, as a photographer, I wanted to take the opportunity to sit down and we're going to talk about some of these photos specifically, just your history with taking photos, and I just want to go into some of the details. There's a few of these photos that I'm like, okay, I need the story behind this because they're just so epic and so gorgeous. So, okay, as a photographer, I have to ask, one, what do you shoot with?
Ooh. Well, I've been a photographer for a long time, so I've shot with everything.
Okay.
That way nobody can get upset. I've shot with pretty much every single camera there is.
What are you shooting with now?
Right now, I'm shooting with a Canon 5D SR.
Okay. I'm a Nikon, but like you said, I have shot with a Canon before and Nikon, and I mean, they're both amazing bodies, and as long as you know the difference between them, you can make them sing. It doesn't really matter. Really, the lens. So what lens do you tend to use when you're doing nature photography?
Probably 80% of everything I shoot's with a 100 to 400 zoom.
Okay, so you do the zoom. Now, I was a family photographer, and now I shoot board games. They don't move, and I don't have to worry about them like scurrying away or anything like that. So I shoot with a prime lens, which means that it moves. I move as the zoom.
Right.
So but I really want, this has inspired me so much. And Daniel has told me, he's like, you need to get out there and take some pictures in nature because this is so really cool. Okay. So now you'd said that you shot some photos here in Arkansas, but they're not here in the game.
Correct.
So where else, close to Arkansas? You said you've been
Tennessee,
to
of
Yellowstone.
course.
Yeah, you've been to Tennessee.
Yellowstone, Arizona, Nevada.
Mm-hmm. And those I
Texas.
recognized. What's the furthest you've been?
Probably the Amazon.
So what animals and nature did you shoot there?
Well, I was very fortunate. I got to spend 2 weeks on the Amazon River. And I think there is the owl picture that you liked.
The one with the owl. The owl is cocking its head to the side.
And the spider that everybody liked so much. I shot that
in the Amazon. Now, your favorite word when you play the game is venomous. Would that be one that you would?
Sometimes I say the word just because a lot of people have an idea what is venomous and what isn't. Probably he
now, is that a tarantula? Or
I don't think he's actually what you would call a true tarantula, but he's just a spider.
I love the little feet on him.
Yeah.
Now there's one here.
This one's venomous.
Yeah, that's just one of those. There's a lot of baby animal photos. Now, did you take most of those out in nature and you just waited for the opportunity, or did you take those in a zoo?
Both.
Okay.
Both. The Nashville Zoo was, prior to it becoming the Nashville Zoo, the director of the zoo and I were friends, and I would photograph animals there that he was taking care of. It was called the Grassmere Wildlife Refuge, I believe, or Wildlife Park in Joelton. And he was collecting animals there with the idea of eventually doing a zoo, which he did,
okay.
which became the Nashville Zoo. So I started taking pictures there for him.
How long ago was that?
Probably 30 years
Am I going to age you here?
Yeah.
Some of these photos, are they recent or did they go all the way back to when you first picked up a camera?
The oldest picture in here was taken in 1990.
Okay.
In this set. And the newest one was taken in October of last year.
But you're adding more photos because, like you said, Keeper's coming out in the next month. It's going to be going to retail, and so we'll have links where you can find that. But I was so excited. I asked if there were going to be expansions to add to it, and honestly, I wanted to add to the game, but I just want to see more of your photos. So you did say there was going to be expansions to this with more packs.
Yes.
So how many did you say was going to come in those?
There's going to be 2 packs with 60 cards in each pack. So there's 120 in the base game, so you could basically double.
Put me down for both packs. Just put me down. I want both. And now this comes in, and this is where you can actually go online. There's a QR code. You can go online and actually see his camera settings for the photos that are in the game. Like for those who are also photographers and want to know what was his f-stop, what kind of lens was he using, and all that stuff. You can find that out. Now, did you edit any of these? Like, how people were like, oh, that was Photoshop, because I know you've got a photo in here that people are like, that was Photoshopped, right. And you know it's not.
I really don't. Okay. To me, there's different kinds of kinds of photographers, and I've been at it since the film days.
Right.
And I shot Nikon too, by the way. But
Nikon's a good one.
I also shot Pentax and Yashica and Contax and the Zeiss stuff, all of that, mostly in the film days. So, I mean, everybody today, if you shoot raw, you're going to do some editing. But as far as adding things into pictures and stuff like that, I don't do that. I'm a shooter. To me, there's two kinds of photographers. There's shooters and there's editors.
Exactly.
Some people love to sit in front of the computer and edit.
I don't have time for that.
and I prefer to shoot. If I'm going to spend my time doing something, I prefer to shoot. I mean, I do know people who literally almost what we call spray and pray. They just shoot hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures. And then they say, when I get back, I'll crop out what I want and put together all the pieces and make a picture out of it. And that's just not how I do it. Probably because I started with film, I trained myself to try to get it right when I shoot it in camera.
Exactly.
Then it's less work.
Now I have because I taught myself photography. So I had to learn my camera and shooting it correct in camera. And I do shoot in RAW now. So when you shoot in RAW, it can be more like dim or just the colors aren't quite as bright. So you just tend to brighten those up when you edit. And that's just so you can have more control of like the lighting and things like that when you shoot in RAW.
So with a RAW file, that's probably telling too much.
No, go for it.
But a RAW file is just like a bucket of data. And it's full to the top.
Versus a JPEG, which is
If you shoot a
smaller,
JPEG, the camera cuts it about in half. So you take the bucket of data home and throw out the part you don't want rather than let the camera, let the camera decide what you don't want.
Now, I love doing that. Now, I also love being a fly on the wall. Like some of my favorite things to do is I like to shoot birth photography, where I'm actually in the hospital. And I get to like take those photos for that family and like just be a fly on the wall. I'm just here capturing the moments.
Yeah.
And that's what I love doing with my family photography. It's a little different when I'm shooting board games. I don't have to like take a ton of photos to hope I got one that was correct in camera, like of just capturing the moment because. Well, I will say I set up cards and I do get really frustrated because they'll like fall over and Dana always laughs because I say I don't have to stand on my head to take a good photo for board games, but I still have, there's challenges.
Yeah.
You learn to use sticky tack and all that stuff. But being out in nature, I mean, I have hummingbirds down at my house. I was telling you, they finally found my bird feeder and now I want to go take a hummingbird picture. So I need to go get my telephoto lens out and put it on my camera and go and take some.
To me, nature is mostly patience.
It is. And that's what I was wondering was like some of these, it's like, how long did you wait? Especially with like the obvious wildlife photos where it's like, I mean, gosh. But then there's so many of these serene photos that you have of water. I'm assuming that one, you let the shutter stay open to capture the flow.
I do that a lot.
And then there's the one that I use for look at this frog one. If you can see it, I'm not sure if you can see it. It's hiding in there really, really good. This is one of my favorites. I gotta clear the way. Okay, you need to tell the story about how you got this photo. If you can tell, that is an elephant, and that's the elephant's foot. So were you just underneath the foot praying his foot didn't come down, or was he posing and holding it like those trained elephants?
Well, he was an elephant that belonged to the zoo, and they had a gentleman there that took care of the elephant every day, just like a person takes care of a dog or whatever. And
they bonded.
They really were. You could tell. And so I told him I wanted to try to see if I could get a picture from underneath the elephant like he was stomping on me. And my wife was there. And anyway, he had a little thin stick and he could tap him and give a command and he would raise his foot up and I got under there. And
were you nervous even though he was trained?
I really wasn't.
Oh, see, I would have been like, oh my gosh.
But the whole nature photography thing, or photography in general, really news and war photographers and all, when you're behind the camera, you think you're safe.
That is true, because you feel like you are just part of the scenery. You're not really there in the moment.
Right.
You're just experiencing it with and helping capture the moment versus actually being in it.
So
yeah, that's
he
a good
gave the
perspective.
command and he raised his foot up. I laid down, and then after a little while, he started wanting to put his foot down because that's not a normal position for him. And so he would start to shake his foot a little bit and start down a little bit, and the guy would stick the stick in to try to remind him to keep it up. And I said, move the stick. I don't want the stick in the picture.
Oh, yeah.
And
So you just risked it.
he turned around to my wife. He said, is his insurance paid off?
That's so great.
And but I got the picture. I took a whole lot of, and I've got really a whole series of them. I've got him reaching to take the camera out of my hand and all kind of stuff, so it was.
Now, are these on your website?
Some of them are. I'm not sure about that one. I've got, like I say, 600,000 pictures in my files. There's probably about 4,800 on the website.
Oh my gosh. Can you also buy prints of your photos on your website? Or do you sell those to other companies to sell?
Yes, you can buy them on the website. My wife handles all that, but the site is e-commerce. So you can, if you want to, you can go on there. There is for the people who purchase the game, there is a code to get a little discount because they bought the game.
That's awesome. The fact that you partnered up with AJ and Vainwriter, because you work with Vainwriter.
Right.
So were you already part of the team when you came up with, did you come up with the idea of the game or did AJ?
I never would have been able to do
Really?
that. To me, in my mind, they were like two separate things, games and my photography. It was AJ's idea. He talked about it multiple times before he actually came up with the game idea.
That's really cool.
And so, yeah, it's 100% AJ.
I'm so inspired, and I love the fact that you were able to take something so gorgeous and be able to allow more people to see your work. Because with art, you just want more people to see it so they can appreciate it. And this is just going to put your art and your skills into so many other people's homes so they can really see it and appreciate it. And I just think that's really, really cool.
Yeah,
so I'm really glad
AJ
did that and thought of that process and that you were willing to put your photography in this. And I'm really excited about the expansions. Now, are those you're taking now? Because you did say you were going to be like hanging on a plane next week. That's
for another project.
Oh.
That's for another project.
You need to get an Instagram and have your wife Instagram you doing all of these feats because I want to see the behind the scenes. I just think it's so, so cool. Well, thank you so much for sitting down and letting me pick your brain.
Thank you for having me.
This is a blast. And photographer to photographer, I love being able to just see your perspective on things. And I just think this is cool. So yeah, we just finished playing a round of this, actually 2 full rounds of Keepers from Vainwriter. We will leave links below where you can check that out, as well as Byron's website. But yeah, until next time, we'll see you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.